January again was a good month. It was 2,400 under. So year to date, we're now over 6,000 under with only 5 months to go. So I'm assuming for the whole year we should stay within the total salary line, which is important. And the books, we entered some more of the Baker and Taylor for December and January. There's still a few left from December. December's almost completely entered. And as I always say, I would just assume that the books are pretty much right on budget year to date. I don't think we had any extraordinary expenses during the month. You see the check that I just brought you guys to sign, the answer was paid in January. That's the one that's gonna go out here, 7,400. We're running a little over on answer year to date, so that's why for next year we added another 3,000 or 4,000 to that, because that line hadn't been built up to where it should have been. Nothing else really stands out. The grand total year to date, 791,000, almost 792 total expense, total budget 831. So we're, running 38,000 under, less the books that haven't been entered. We're really about 25 or so under year to date, mainly from the retirement bill coming in favorably, and the health insurance line has been doing well too. So those are the two main reasons that the total budget is running favorably so far. And on the cash side, you can see on the balance sheet, we have 582,000. Now, during the month, we moved a significant amount to the Orange County money market. I think the rate might be slightly better than the key account. So we moved some there, and just to keep business going with them as well. So you see we have 582 with 5 months to go. So we'll probably end with the low 200s like we always presumed and planned, more or less. Because even though there's 5 months left to go, we have a lot of our one-time bills done, like the retirement. So we can't, like we always say, you can't just say every month is going to be 100,000, because it's not always proportional. So the 582 at the end of the year should we should be in the low 200s like we planned originally. And more or less that's about it.
Jack, can you just explain, just for people who may not know, the Friends and the reimbursement and how that works, please?
Right. On our daily tab sheet that we get the money from up front from the register, there's some items that, like tote bags and book sales, that belong to the Friends. Usually it's only a couple dollars per week, so we don't go giving them the money every week, or it would be too sporadic. So usually quarterly, but we let it go for a few quarters, we reimburse them what was their portion.
Okay.
So I think it was $599 we gave them. Don came in to pick it up. So that that's why it was. So if you add that back in, the library charges were more or less where they normally are.
Thank you.
Because we don't want to reimburse them every week. It would be it's easier to just do it quarterly or every few quarters for their portion of the library. But other than that, though, we've had a lot of days where we were closed and everything, so you would expect the charges to be, lower this time of year. Compared to, remember, the end of the summer, they were really picked up a lot, but now, with all the craziness, they've lightened up a little bit.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jack? Can I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Mary, Norma, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Is it all right if I stick around for the presentation?
Oh, if you want to.
Of
Yeah, I'd
course.
love to see you. Yes.
So come on. Then let's move on to Megan's presentation.
This one should be brief. Really what I wanted to come down tonight was review. We've got our draft of the report assembled. What I wanted to circulate was copies of the table of contents, just to make sure that we've covered everything that we think should be covered. sends his apologies. He was planning on coming down tonight till about 4 o'clock when he said to me, "You're gonna have to do all the talking because I'm in a lot of pain." And I said, "Well, if you're in a lot of pain, I really don't want to ride in the car with you. No offense." So I packed up the bags and so.
Head itself.
Yes, he sent his apologies. He said, "They don't really know me there." I said, "That's okay. They know me. They'll see you again soon." So the past few months following meetings with the staff and our public charrettes, we developed and assembled our draft report, which includes everything listed in the table of contents. So what we've got is some narratives. We've also got the evaluation of the existing building, as well as sort of our narrative of the constraints and opportunities of this building, and then a constraints and opportunities document for the Salesian property. We've also put together anticipated sustainable design features as a list for each of the sites so that when people start to ask questions about what sustainable design incentives we can look at, we've got that already accounted for. The report will also include existing condition drawings of this building and the site. The next portion of the report is the programming information, so the programming sheets that we had the staff fill out, the meeting summaries that I had with the staff, as well as a narrative about our impressions of the program needs of the library, and then 2 quantitative reports about space needs evaluation, so sort of an independent summary where we plug in values and see where you fall in national standards and things like that. And then a summary of the charrette discussion topic responses that we received at the 2 meetings, and then also that were submitted to the library, so you have that all as record. And then also sort of the master planning components, the drawings and logistic information for improvements to this building, as well as a project on the Salesian property. And that also includes, besides drawings, a conceptual rendering, outline specifications, just so we have a preliminary idea of what the materials would be of the proposed building. And each of these schemes, we also have cost estimates for what we anticipate the cost to be. And then the report's going to end with our recommendations and conclusions. So that's sort of our outline. Is there anything that you think that we need to add, knowing your community and what questions may come up in the upcoming months? Because what we'd like to have is this report on hand for you to say, we thought about that, we've addressed it, and here it is, so that you don't look like you're having to check or go back, or you want to make sure that you look well prepared for the upcoming months and potential referendum.
Would the timetable be appropriate to be included in this? Because that's something that we all depend upon, gives us targets to look for.
Mhm.
Would that be in the report?
We could include that as well, absolutely.
I think people may ask about when.
That's true.
And how much?
Those are the 2 big questions.
Yeah.
I don't want to, we may discuss it right now, but I did want to mention I stopped off at the Board of Elections and talked to one of the, I forget what they're called, one of the lead guys.
Officials.
Yeah, the officials. But he did express some mild concern about if we were actually going to have referendum in November, that having 2 different votes in November, one for the regular elections, even though it's not even midterm elections, and then another one for our budget, that people might get confused about that. November elections are generally for electing the people, so I just want to throw that out there just to consider later on. So I don't know what that would do to any town action, but we can talk about that later. I don't think so. Before I forget, sorry.
Well, if there aren't any other topics to include in the report right now, I wanted to just run you guys through the scheme revisions for the Salesian site and also the cost estimates that we've assembled so far.
Is that in focus? Or is it my
A little out of focus.
Not better?
Maybe if you move back, maybe you can post that. I was waiting for that. Excellent.
We'll just to review where we are looking at the Main Street property. That, as you know, is Main Street. This is my pointer is not on my side. As you know, the roof structure with the cupola is your existing building. The red square behind it is the 1970s addition, and then the blue square beyond it was sort of the available site that you have remaining for any potential building expansion. As a site plan, it looks somewhat like this in terms of what we proposed to add on, with that first square on the left being the historic building, and then our proposed addition.
I'm sorry, it is, I think it really is.
Is it still out of focus? I
Yeah.
apologize.
Oh,
I mean,
yes.
that's
Thank
not-
you.
I'm
Thank you.
sorry. Apparently, I'm just getting older eyes because it looked a little blurry either way. So this portion would be the proposed two-story addition that we previously reviewed. In terms of building layout, at the main level, this is the existing historic building with the small vestibule. What we'd like to do is redirect the entry to Hill Street so that we have sidewalk access, a lobby at grade, an adult collection on the main level, which would include media, DVDs, fiction, as well as periodicals, public access computers, a reference desk, a reference office, a centralized circulation desk, and adjacent staff offices, and a local history room with storage. On the upper level, we have a dedicated children's library space with staff support space, a program room, storage, their own restrooms, as well as a young adult space which can be supervised via borrowed light windows from the children's help desk, and some administrative offices in that small mezzanine area that currently is inaccessible except for staff in the building now. On the lower level, we have the elevator, new egress stairs. We've enlarged these rooms that we're currently in to hold 72 seats for a meeting room. There's also a small friends book sale space and storage, a staff break room, kitchenette, public restrooms, and a small lobby gallery space. So we didn't do much modifications to this scheme, just to refresh everyone's memory. And then this would be the Salesian site and the footprint of the building that we'd previously reviewed. This is Main Street again. And we propose doing an entry boulevard where the curb cut currently is. So we enter, there's a drop-off plaza for people dropping off, and then parking for 64 vehicles, and then traffic can access back out. What we've done is the lighter colored trees are all the existing trees on the site, so what we've tried to do is maintain as many of the existing trees. So we've got the central boulevard, which has those trees that line the entry right now, and the new trees, so that we've sort of created a nice green boulevard. We sort of tucked in the parking on that smaller portion before the field raises up, and that's where you do your Shakespeare in the Park area. So we don't propose doing anything beyond that drive right now. That black dot is the chimney that stands there, and then the big pine trees. And we're showing an outdoor reading space for patrons. This is where most of the revisions we discussed at the last meeting that we had, and then also with the staff. So this is the main level. We've got the entry lobby, a stair to the second level, as well as an elevator, public restrooms, and then a 100-person meeting room, which can be locked off as needed, and the library proper can be locked off as well, so that functions can happen in the meeting room without having control issues in the library proper. There's also the shared kitchenette there. As you enter through the doors to the library proper, on the right-hand side, there's a conference room or a small office, home office space. On the left, there'd be a through-wall book drop and borrowed light windows into the staff area so that returns can happen back of house. The next space on the right here is our friends book sale space, and we have a circulation desk with 3 stations, as well as a backup support station here. There's staff offices and administrations. We've got the business office, the clerk of the board, the director's office, a shared kitchenette break room, tech services, and a small restroom for staff. We have the adult collection, media, periodicals, nonfiction and fiction, different options for seating, tables, comfortable seating, public access computers, a reference desk and a reference office, some small quiet study or tutoring rooms, and then a young adults area in this corner, which have some borrowed light windows from the reference office for supervision as well as windows to the library proper. And then on the upper level, which you would reach via the stairs or the elevator, we've got the children's library, which has its own help desk, staff offices, staff restroom, a children's size restroom, stroller parking and cubbies, and sort of a meandering path of ages for the collection so that we can start with toddlers and go all the way to juvenile collections. There's the staff library, or the children's library, would have a staff office back at this time. This was one of the comments that they had made reviewing the scheme, that they'd like some more staff supervision, because this is sort of a long space. And there's the potential to use the stairwell, because the teen space is on the main level, and there's some cross collection concerns. So if someone's at the main level looking for something that might still be in the tweens collection, they don't have to go out to the lobby and then up the stairs or the elevator and then traverse all the way through the children's library to get to this collection, because on the main level the teen space would be here. So if staff can assist them and send them up these stairs, then they can arrive at the tweens section without having to go through the whole meandering path. We enlarged the program room, which is accessed from the children's library and from this upper lobby space, so it now holds 50 people. There's a counter and a sink, a small closet for storage, as well as a larger closet for some table and chair storage. And then along the perimeter, we were envisioning sort of a glass wall so that people can see what's going on inside if parents need to be on their cell phone or doing something outside the program space. And also maybe a upholstered bench on the inside for parents that are in the room so that they can sit and watch, not necessarily participate if needed. In this lobby space, we also wanted to show some benches and some display cabinets, especially for things in the historic society, so that we can really feature them as, an active component of the library on the second level. So we show the historic society here, as well as a storage space, a server room, and public restrooms. So some of the revisions to the scheme were enlarging the program spaces we talked about, adding some staff at this end of the building, and then on the main level, enlarging the staff area here to make sure we accomplished or accommodated all of the staff that we currently have, if not more. We enlarged the reference office a little bit based on some of the staff comments to make sure that they could accommodate doing some of their current functions, like the interlibrary loan processing, things like that. And as we had discussed, we have the Friends book sale now in the library proper. So this is our conceptual rendering of what we think the library could take shape as. This is the face that would face Main Street. So this is sort of the view if you were, at the wrought iron gate or fencing along the drive or along Main Street. So it takes some cues from the Victorian homes on the other side of the street. It's a nice way to sort of scale the massing down. So this is that teen area, so they've got sort of a feature on Main Street. This is the stair tower, which actually, while it's sort of massive, it works out well in that it gives us access to the roof, so we can do some rooftop units up there and minimize the amount of mechanical space we have on the interior. We've got a covered porch, so it starts at the front and wraps around the side, and then we've got that plaza outside. It's just some low-lying site walls, so we sort of define the plaza, but we're not limiting the extent of your site, since you have the beautiful lawns that continue on even to the Salesian School area. There's the chimney. Got the the egress door from these stairs, but it doesn't look very utilitarian. It tried to take a lot of detailing from the homes nearby.
Are the roofs flat?
They would be behind the mansard.
Right.
They would be partially, but they would be tapered, and they'd have roof drains, so it wouldn't be a true flat roof, but it would have a low slope.
I'm just thinking of all the snow that we've gotten.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yes.
Flat roofs are not a friend. So, I mean, that is a gorgeous design, and I love the fact that you've taken into account the historic homes here in Goshen. I mean, I can look there and see parts of different homes, especially on South Street. So, that would, my one concern would be no flat roofs. We don't wanna have to, oh, no, I don't wanna think about it.
But you've designed something that's structurally sound regardless of 2-3 feet
Absolutely,
of
and
snow on top.
if there are portions that have lower slope than others, we'd certainly have a lot of roof drains, and we'd have it so that sort of the roof breathes, so that there wouldn't be a lot of opportunities for standing. I mean, there there'd be standing snow, not standing water and that sort of thing. Right now, almost more roofs, I know they're having collapse issues, but I know a lot of homes have a lot of buildup on their eaves and things like that with the way snow is melting, so we need to be careful about any type of roof with a winter like we've currently had.
And how many square feet?
With the revisions we discussed, we're at 20,600 square feet.
The spike cases in the second level, if you're having, if the library's closed and you're having an activity downstairs in the big room,
Mm-hmm.
how do you prevent people from going up the stairs and accessing those cases?
Well, ideally they'd be secured cases so that no one could access them even when the library is open. So they'd have some sort of security on them or locks. We can stop the elevator from going up, but right now we sort of have that grand stair that doesn't have a door at the top. So we'd have to talk about maybe what goes in those cases not being too sensitive or one of a kind. Or we can look at doing something else for display, something that's more secure that maybe is built into the wall, so it's just a panel that's and you access it from behind to load it.
Okay, I'm just concerned about the security of it.
Of course.
Someone walks in that front door, they just go upstairs and there are the cases. The chimney,
Yes.
what is the feeling about that? That's just kind of part of the property and part of the history.
Well, it's got a lot of character for your site. It's pretty stable, except for the cap, which might need some attention. But the reports from the original site evaluation were that it was structurally stable,
Mm-hmm.
and that as a feature, it's a nice one-of-a-kind item.
Mm-hmm.
If you hated it, we could.
No, I'm just
Things
curious.
about it,
as to- for some reason, I just sort of assumed that would be gone, but it's.
We thought the way we cited the building that it actually was sort of a nice feature to incorporate it into that outdoor plaza space. So you've got a nod to the history. There's also the ruins of the manse right here. So you've got the current
Right.
potential for the future and a nod to the past as well. So this is my exciting item, and then wanted to go over the cost estimates first for the Main Street additions and improvements. So we always start out with site. So we've got line items for the excavation and removal of substantive obstacles, as well as site work developments like paving, sidewalks, curbs, and softscape like plantings and landscaping. We have a number in there for demolition, which is mostly the 1970s edition. And then we've got line items for renovation construction costs, the addition construction costs, updating your plumbing throughout the building, updating the mechanical system throughout the building, as well as the electrical system as needed, and the fire protection system so that you can have a sprinkler system. So that gives us a construction hard cost number of $4.3 million, and then we need to look at contingencies, which we always try to do 3 contingencies. One is inflation, because we're putting together numbers today, but we wouldn't be bidding the project right now, so reasonably speaking, a 2% inflation contingency is consistent with what we've been seeing for the past few years. We have a 5% design contingency because we may continue to develop the scheme and decide we want to add some nice features, and we don't want to have to take away something to add in more features as we get more detailed. And then we keep a construction contingency of 5%, or in your case, we might want to do more, but we kept 5 for now, which would be when the project's being implemented, if any unknown conditions are discovered, we open a wall and there's a pipe running through it that wasn't foreseen because it wasn't on any of the drawings, and we need to address that. So we've got almost $500,000 in contingencies. We put in an allowance for temporary space and collection relocation because as we were doing any renovations to this building, it would be more cost effective and timely to have library functions being served elsewhere so that contractors can have free reign to come in, do all their work, and then move back out. We also put in a line item for hazardous materials remediation, given the age of your building. There's the chance of asbestos, lead, PCBs. So moving forward, we might want to even look at doing a hazardous materials survey of the current building. We also included a line item for new furnishings, so shelving, soft seating, tables and chairs, desks, staff furniture, things like that. It doesn't include a collection security system, but it does include all the other components that complete the building. So that's another 1.1, and then we have soft costs, which I believe we talked about before, that for every project there's hard costs, which are the value of the contractors, the bricks and sticks, what it takes to make the building, and then there's soft costs, which are more intangible things. That's soft costs, for instance. We've got architectural fees, testing, surveys, reimbursables, printing, legal services, all the fees that are associated with bonding, the legal components, any hazardous material remediation design. You'll want to carry a builder's risk insurance policy. We also have added in recently owner's IT design consultant because that gets to be an expensive line item. Although you have your own sort of IT department, which is a step ahead from other libraries, but we put that in for now. So, and the last item is site acquisition costs, which is 0, so that's in your favor. So for our proposed project on the Main Street site, we're looking at about $6.6 million.
Two questions. The temporary, and I know we talked about you guys have done this before, so you have a better grasp of it. So I'm just asking, temporary space costs and collection relocation. What is that based on? And I'm asking only because, like, I know Washington Bill is a less controlled situation, but they've been in their space for a few years already. What is it? Is it based on a per month thing or?
Well, what we did was we factored in what we've heard and received for estimates for collection relocation, which doing a two-way move out and then back in ranges between $30,000 and $40,000 based on a similar size collection. And then we just put in a line, a value for temporary space. We don't know what you might do. You might have someone actually donate you space or give you a discounted rental space, but we wanted to at least put in a placeholder so that it's not an added item that we hadn't thought about moving forward.
So $40K each way or $20K each way?
$20,000 each way.
$20,000 each way, and then so $87,000 a month or so for a year, something like that. Or like you said, somebody would donate space.
And you never know what might happen. The Socrates Library actually got space donated from the town, but it was a vacant shell of a building, so they needed to do the interior fit up. They did some partitions for offices. They paid for that, and then they had free rent for 18 months. So you never know what situation might be presented to you.
And then the other thing is the collection security system. Is that the
Like if you went to RFID.
for the books?
Yes.
For the books. Okay.
Alright, so that was for the Main Street property.
When you say Main Street, the others
This,
on Main Street also.
well, yes, I'm sorry, but I refer to that as
I
Salesian.
know,
I was
but
just.
some people may, when you say Main Street, be thinking, I'm just wondering if we could come another term.
We can say the current building.
The current, yeah, because I think some people, when they hear that, they're thinking out there, and then they get
Okay.
confused.
So for the Salesian property, in some ways this cost estimate is a little more straightforward. We have site preparation costs, and site work development, the hardscape, which is the paving, sidewalks, landscaping, site structures for drainage, which we'll have to do a stormwater prevention plan because of the size of the site, which is 5 acres. We'll have little demolition. We've got the small nun's house on site that will need to be addressed. We have construction line items for the general construction, plumbing, mechanical, a separate line for the geothermal well field for the mechanical system. electrical and fire protection lines. So the construction hard costs for this come in at 6.3.
This includes drainage for the parking area that's a low area in the park that experiences flooding. You know, we talked a month ago.
Mhm.
It includes the proper drainage for that area.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually we'll probably maximize using that low area which has a tendency to flood and do our SWIP or stormwater prevention system in that area. We've been using another system as opposed to doing the standing ponds and actually doing drainage under parking lots and collecting all the stormwater into basins and then actually having it filtrate out under the parking lot, which is a little less unsightly and really helps with parking lot runoff directly. So we did the same contingencies, inflation at 2%, design at 5%, and construction at 5% as well. We put in a line item for archaeological investigation and documentation because as the original archaeological report stated that there are some items potentially in the ground. They've removed a few, but we'll need to just follow up on that. In fact, as we move forward, we may want to think about having that survey updated because archaeological expectations and requirements may have changed since 2008. In this situation, we didn't have any value for the temporary space costs because you can stay in the current building until the new facility is completed. We did put in a line item for new furnishings. And then, again, we have soft costs, and we also included site acquisition costs for the mortgage that you finished paying off.
Okay. You had what?
Why would that?
Why did you put it in there when it's already paid?
Because you had asked me to put it in last time we spoke.
You did?
Huh?
I know, but it seems like,
It's adding to the cost.
It does add to the cost, yes.
right, but it's already been paid, so it isn't actually something that has to still be paid.
It doesn't need to be paid. In fact, we said already paid. If you wanted to keep it in there, I think when we talked about it last time, it was that we have it in there, and then you can say that you've already put towards the project $500,000.
Project already.
There's a
Yeah.
way of,
Because you don't have, I
Oversight.
assume you don't have a large capital reserve
Right,
to
right,
be
right,
using for
right,
this,
right.
but you have over the
Good
past
enough.
5 years
Right,
paid off the property value.
So it's really 9.1.
it's
9.1 for
Balance.
yes.
Now, this includes everything, all the 60-something parking spots, and
The
cost
whole
for this building includes no parking spots.
correct.
This is 20,000 square feet, maybe 21 almost.
Closer to 21 and
And this would be 15.
15, yes.
And this includes the removal of the nurses' quarters and any of the
Yes.
structures.
I'm wondering what, from a public relations point of, I'm wondering from a public relations point of view, do you gain more by having the 500,000, which pushes it up to 9.675, or if you could somehow knock it down to 8.975, get it below 9 million.
Well, car salesmen are always the,
Yeah, but
Yeah.
995
Yeah.
numbers and
But people react to,
Yes.
now they're saying
Mhm.
that's almost 10 million, if you say it's 8.9,
There's only
it has a
9
different
million.
it's a
feeling to
fine
it.
line. One of the questions we always see come up in any community, one of the public questions is always, well, how much are you contributing to it as a board? What have you been able to contribute before you come and have your hand out to the public?
Right.
And part of that is also fundraising too, which you can start thinking about doing so that you've got more reserves.
May I ask something? What's the last library you guys have built recently?
The Monroe Library, we just literally are finishing the additions and renovations to. Right now, they're moving back in for large. A new library was finished 2 years ago, which was the Cairo Public Library. That was 7,500 square feet of new construction. The Saugerties Public Library was finished, I think, 3.5, maybe 4 years ago now, and that was additions and renovations to a historic Carnegie Library.
Were you above or below on those estimates?
Um,
On all
Saugerties
three?
was right on. Cairo was actually a little high because when we put together our cost estimates, it was right when the economy had changed dramatically. And then they actually got funding through the USDA. They got some money from their town. So we actually came in significantly under budget. They also made a lot of design choices to keep number as low as possible for public relations reasons in the village.
Isn't Moffett renovations, isn't that costing like over $6 million?
Their cost estimate is, I think, 6.9.
Just looking at a comparison.
The total project is 7.4, and then I think they've, in their capital reserve, had 500,000, so their referendum amount is 6.9.
And Wisner was, I mean, granted it was a few years ago now. They're 18,000 square feet.
They're 20,000 square feet.
They're 20,000
Yes.
square feet, and they did it for 9?
I believe so.
For 9. Okay, so we're in the ballpark.
Yes.
We are.
So- And I'm sorry, in this library, we now have 5,000 square feet? And
You
you're
have-
gonna add,
You have, with the addition, closer to 10, but we were going to take off the addition and then add a new addition, so it would make it 15.
15.
725.
Is Moffett staying in the same place? Are they looking to stay the same place,
They're
Moffett?
enlarging it, yeah.
Yeah.
Where's their parking gonna be? I
They
just,
bought
They-
2 houses.
Yes.
oh, they did, they bought one. What, behind it? Just for
Between,
police?
they're on the corner, and then the next 2 residences, and then there's an
Oh, they
AutoZone
bought
and
those
Dunkin' Donuts. So they
rental-
bought
oh,
those
okay.
2 residences.
Makes sense. Which isn't an option here, right? There's no property to buy and demolish.
One of the problems is the place next door is historic.
So really, we'd be trying to create a link between the 2, align floor levels, and sort of allocate space, or put spaces, or I guess put collection spaces in where the existing walls already are.
but I agree with Jim, if we can get it down to 8.9, that would be a good selling number.
Moving forward,
Wouldn't it be though when you say the project is, we're gonna do it a 9-6 building, but we're only gonna referendum the 8?
Mhm.
So you would be right where you need to be. 'cause
yes.
it's-
Show us the pretty
Well,
picture
not
again.
anymore. Yeah, my math is not that good, I'm sorry.
Well, you could
Pretty
put
picture again.
It's your hope to
Maybe it was
fundraise
5 cents, 4
that,
cents.
that
Yeah.
200,000.
That's the pretty picture.
I don't
It's
know.
beautiful.
It's a work in progress, but we wanted to show you some. So we're not just thinking about it, and plan it, but we're thinking about it in 3 dimensions and how it takes shape and represents your community.
What would the
I
colors
love
be?
those windows going down.
I don't know yet. It's still black and white. You could tell me that you hated it, and I could come up with a whole different
I just wondering if you
shape.
had
And
thoughts about the color treatment.
I think we definitely pick from either Benjamin Moore or Sherman Williams historic palette. We love those colors. In general, we always try to pick from them. They're just a nicer.
Isn't that the thing with the village anyway?
I do believe yes, that's part of your requirement. As a baseline, we always like those
Zoning
anyway.
has to where they could- But yeah, the historic buildings have to stay with all
I
of
run
them.
the chart.
And the porch there would have enough room for benches and
Yes.
things like that? It's
Yeah.
not lovely. That's
Rockers.
beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Rockers, that's what we need. There you go. Rockers.
It'll be a lighted porch. Would you recommend recessed lighting on the porch for security purposes?
so.
Or
I think so,
Have to.
absolutely.
instead of those flood
Oh,
lights?
we don't really, in any sort of site lighting, we don't really care for tall downlights because they tend to create a lot of ambient light, which is really not that helpful. We love, wall wash light fixtures on the building, and also bollards, those 3 or 4 foot tall light fixtures that actually cast light to the ground where you want it and not up to the sky. So we want to make sure that we're not creating a light pollution issue or upsetting neighbors.
Yeah, that was my people across the
Mhm.
the road. Because I know a few years back there was issues with the bank and
Oh.
the lighting from the
Mhm.
bank, so we have to make sure that we're good neighbors
Yes,
in terms of
absolutely.
light.
And anything we do, we want to really preserve the park-like atmosphere that's already
So-
there.
I think there's still issues with the light in the park itself. I think being too bright for the neighbors, but whatever.
This is beautiful.
If you were to cut it to after the 500,000 is explained, if you would get it down to 8.96 or something, how would you do that?
Well,
Where,
You've got the 500.
where might 100,000, 150,000, whatever it is, be cut.
I think she was
Architectural
also saying
fees.
that we could fundraise. If your goal could be to fundraise a couple $100,000.
We would encourage you
The Friends
guys to
Forum.
do what you can for fundraising, just because, again, as I said, the public is going to say, you know, what have you done to contribute to this? Also
In addition to
pursuing
the 500
Mhm.
or 600 actually, for the
your
property.
fundraising, you're pursuing different grant opportunities like DLD grants and other. Actually, now the state is actually consolidated. You know, we used to have the State Historic Preservation Office and NYSERDA, and now they've done one consolidated application, which is supposed to be helpful. It's only about maybe a year old. Basically, you fill in all your pertinent information, and then the 8 or 10 state institutions like NYSERDA and such actually approach you with what options they have that you could apply for. So it's
Oh, I see
actually,
what you're saying.
it gives you more opportunities that you might not know about.
That's good.
So there's isn't the governor making
That's what I was
500
trying to
million?
remember.
500
Yeah, there
million
was
for Orange
something.
County? Is it Orange County or the state, and everybody has a chance to go after a piece of that
I
pie?
can't remember.
It was in today's paper, I have to look at it.
But oh, I'm sorry, to answer your question, we could shave things off if we, you know, we could reduce the contingency somewhat if we've got a good idea about when we're bidding, or if we don't have many unforeseen design modifications to do. We could also assume that we're taking some of the collection furnishings, like some of the stacks if we wanted to, and lower the furnishings number. Or we could just set a budget for the furniture, which, deduct some, and we just pick maybe different quality or different levels or different items. Because there's lots of choices. That's a safe number for furnishings, to
The
do.
design contingency, that's for unforeseen things. I can see in a renovation, you might have that problem,
Construction
but in a new
contingency
building,
is for unforeseen. And we would say that probably once all the excavation and the footings and foundations are done, that we can start to eat away at that construction contingency, because really the only unknowns on that site are going to be what's in the ground, if there's anything in the ground. We like to carry a construction contingency almost all the way through to the end in an existing building renovation, because you just never know what might happen.
but the design contingency, what is that?
That's for right now we sort of have, this conceptual layout and elevation, but if, a few months down the line we say, what would be really great is if we could incorporate another program space, or make the meeting room seat 125 people. That way, that number helps accommodate the increase in square footage costs without having to take something away.
And how much for the construction contingency was there?
5%. So,
So 316?
yes.
Okay. Wow, okay.
So we've got
We have
$750,000 in contingencies.
Right.
That's a lot.
So that would do it in somewhere. Do some more changes. I suppose.
We can also look at some of the soft costs. We made assumptions and we put in numbers for construction management firm, which if you decide to hire them, they'll have a range of fees and things like that. We just put in what we've seen for other projects. Once you have your legal counsel on board, they might be able to give you a hard number. We made an assumption of $80,000 for legal fees, but that number might be higher or lower depending on who you're using. Owner's IT design consultant, that might be something that you actually do with your current staff, and we don't need to have that as a line item.
What about demolition costs?
We included the demolition costs in the construction hard costs. And we also have line items in the construction phase for things like appliances. That could also be something that's donated by the Friends or some other community supporters. So
So
There-
there's room to shave off
there certainly is.
several
There really is.
Yeah.
$100,000.
Yes.
That we can bring it down even further.
Mhm.
Okay.
So I think it's safe to say that we could have an $8.9 million number reasonably without compromising anything at this point.
And that's without fundraising.
That's
Right.
yes.
So if we actually set some
Fundraisers
set some
and-
realistic goals for fundraising in terms of park benches under the overhang and, you know,
Sure.
at a premium, you know, and not excessive, but still, you know,
Mhm.
bench
Not a
cost.
cost.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
If bench, I don't know what benches cost, if they cost $500 and we make them, and if they cost
Patio-
$1,000 for a plaque, you know,
Patio
so.
pavers or something.
patio
Typically-
Or
pavers,
even,
yeah.
even, you know, furniture, you know,
Absolutely.
stuff that we can,
Sure.
you know, if people wanna, for the children's department, in the name of my grandchildren, I wanna buy 3 chairs, or a
Right.
table and 2 chairs. I mean, those are things that will, you know, little by little will bring down.
Once
Yeah,
we have a
cost.
plan that we're set on, we actually typically put together a list of naming opportunity items. So it starts with things like the meeting room or the children's library and goes all the way down to benches and chairs and things like that. But so if there's really something that can appeal to anyone, so that if you have some donors that you think you could approach for a significant donation, you're not saying what can you donate, but you're saying could you donate this amount and have the meeting room named after you or have the children's library named after you.
Slap anybody's name on it.
You know, like one of the key
That's
fundraising
already
techniques is to
Oh, is it?
go and ask for an amount and not say
Mhm.
what can you
Still do
donate.
that and then you,
Well, that's a good question. What do you, I know when Arden Hill closed and they opened up the new hospital, there were some local families who were extremely upset. They had donated literally tens of thousands of dollars for various
Mm-hmm. Components
things
of
there,
that.
and that was just like all erased. None of those names were carried over to the new building. And I just wondered about, we have, is it the Sharps? Sharps right here. Would normally that name be then carried to the new library? There's a new name.
Well, that would be your decision.
I just wonder what other people have done.
It's very board specific or library and
Okay.
community specific. So
Right.
if you think it's important, then absolutely, it's
Yeah,
Sure.
actually, I think this room behind us at one time was the Wallace.
It is,
It still is the Wallace room, yeah. The
I
Wallace
think that's
room.
a great point.
And if they feel like they're being sort of kicked down the road, that's not a good thing.
and also we've got the opportunity with the lobby and other spaces to do some commemorative like
Right.
plaques and things like that, so we can say, you know, who's been a library supporter for the original building. At Wisner, we did a really nice sort of tribute to the
Yeah.
historic building. At the lower level, as you go descend the stairs, there's the historic postcard image blown up to about 5 feet wide and maybe 5 feet tall, and it's got a piece of plexiglass over it that actually has the history of the library for the first 100 years, so that
Mhm.
it doesn't look like they've turned their back on that
Right.
building that
Right,
they
that's a great thing.
significantly outgrew.
That's good.
But it's a one of a kind sort of feature.
Well, the whole process, there is still, we would be selling this building.
Ultimately.
There's the money
ultimately,
that would go, I would hope soon, you know, prior, soon after construction, or somehow affect the amount that would be having to lay out. That this would go down.
Yeah, we just don't know exactly what we would sell it for.
and we don't know
And it
how
would-
long that would take,
and
we
it
don't
would
know how
certainly
much.
be
we
after
can
the
do.
fact.
We
It's,
really can't, it would be, it's something to let people know we have plans and we're not
Right.
keeping both.
Well,
And it would go back to the tax rolls, which would make people happy. And, but I don't know how it works with a bond when you sell this building and you pay $1 million of the bond with the proceeds of this sale and you know, I don't know if it works that way.
in this situation, I would think, well, as the referendum is worded, it'll say that you want to bond a maximum amount of, and we'll probably have that $8.9 million number. And then knowing that there's a potential offset from the sale of this building, instead of doing a bond early on, you can do bond anticipatory notes and take small portions of money.
Okay.
And then towards the end of the project, when you know what the rest of your expenses are going to be, or you know you've already got a purchase agreement on this building, you'll know what the final amount is, and then they'll put together the final bond.
And so then that final bond pays off the notes
Yes.
and it would be less than.
And it would be
1.9,
less.
right. Okay.
So you pay a little bit more in interest during that 6 months or 12 months while you're doing the bond anticipatory notes. But in the long run, you're bonding for less money, which is always a
Good
great
idea.
sale to the community.
But if you get your bond earlier, then the rates are still very low at this point, aren't they?
They are, yes.
There's always the chance, if you wait 9 months, suddenly we're paying a higher rate.
What we've seen even really in the past 3 years is that the rates haven't astronomically increased. They're climbing, but not at a significant amount. And actually, that will be a good thing for your bond counsel to counsel you on, is if you take the bond at the early
Mhm.
portion of the project or towards the end, and they'll give you they can run all different numbers and scenarios so that you can make the best decision.
Do you have a rendering of what this building would look like?
I didn't do one yet, but I can. Weren't sure how far you wanted us to go with this development.
I think we should be prepared for the question.
Okay.
No. It passes, we have a building. Is there any time in which you anticipate the annual costs of the new building to be when somebody asks that question?
We can.
Okay, now you have this big building, it's 15,000 square feet more, now what?
I'm sure people will start asking that as soon as you start showing them floor plans and renderings, and we can help you try to estimate what they'll be. We can talk to our engineers until we have some of the preliminary systems established, aside from just the general notion of a geothermal system and things like that. Usually in the schematic design phase is when the engineers start sizing systems and things like that, and they can give us harder numbers or more accurate numbers. We can help gauge some numbers and say that most likely looking at your utility bills here just as a reference for rates and consumption of, plumbing fixtures and things like that. We can do some estimating so that you're not going into it blind and saying, well, we're not sure. We can help you develop numbers early on.
Okay.
Did you show geothermal? I thought I saw that in the list.
Above.
We do have the geothermal well field system as a specific line item, and then the mechanical system accounts for geothermal as opposed to traditional.
And then the lighting would all be the new bulbs that are energy efficient in comparison with what we have here.
Yes, like the LED fixtures or
Right, the
T5s. Also, considering the orientation of the building and the fact that it's sort of independent and a nice park-like setting, we would like to do daylight harvesting on all the light fixtures so that they dim when there's enough natural light, so that we're not running light fixtures unnecessarily. And then there's lots of other smaller things, but that's actually one of the portions of the report is going to be the sustainable design features that we can pursue.
And the staffing anticipation on a building that size do you deal with that?
We do. What we've tried to do is keep the staffing levels as close, at least in terms of stations and things like that. I can't account for how many more hours you may be open. What we've tried to do is lay it out so that you don't need a dramatic more amount of staffing. That here, the circulation desk, my pointer is not on my team, and the reference desk can cross supervise one another and see, so that there's really no hidden corners and things like that. We've got enough space at the circulation desk so that there can be 3 staff people, or as technology and things change, and we can have a self-check station here. We've tried to accommodate good supervision of the building and future technologies so that we can accommodate anything that might come up
The
and have
exception of
flexibility.
having more help for cleaning the building, because obviously
Maintenance.
That would be-
Yeah.
maintenance as far as cleaning is concerned is going to be more of a
But in terms of
staffing, you may be able to say with the same professional staff.
yes, it might be that you need more clerks and part-time help just for more hours of operation.
In the modification of this building, there are 3 floors. Yes, I remember the meeting room being down here,
Yes.
but I don't recall everything else that's down here.
Mhm.
Is there a need to have staff on this basement floor level with the renovated building here?
We don't call for any staff here
Okay.
except for the kitchenette break room space.
But this would really
So it
be
would be
used
in
for
unsupervised.
specific meetings that
Yes.
okay, I was just thinking of the inefficiency of 3 floors versus 2.
Of staffing,
But
absolutely.
yeah.
On our agenda, do we have an action item to adopt a building plan?
We do have one
Okay.
on, but
If we were to choose the solution site, how much more would we need to spend on, for example, the exterior of this building, as far as architectural fees, if we're gonna go in the other direction? Do we need to do
That
that?
would not be included in the fees that you're charging now?
Well, we can include it.
Okay.
it's not gonna increase it.
No, because we want to give you as much information as you need as you go to the public.
So tonight, we have to decide what we're doing before we go to the public, or are we going to the public first with the information we have and presenting them with the information we
I
have?
think we've got enough information to make a choice. I think if we don't, I mean, here we are, it's almost March. We're talking about a vote in November. There's a lot to do between when we adopt, make a decision and move ahead. It's gonna be nonstop for 6 months.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those were all my topics, although Matt had mentioned that you had some questions about the request for proposals for construction management services.
Well,
Is that something we should tackle?
we got that to review.
We have a generator here. There'll be a generator up there as well.
We didn't include that, but we can, but we'll have to talk about what size it is and what it actually accomplishes. Does it run the entire building? Does it just run the system so that nothing freezes? What would be, what's your intent? That would,
Vivian.
The one that's here is just to keep the building from flooding, correct?
Yeah. What this has, it has, keeps the heat, it keeps the heat, I believe, in the,
And the pumps and
pumps.
some pumps. Yeah. The some pumps.
This is what you just brought up. No, well, yeah, it is an RFP for construction management.
And emails,
I think I'm gonna have to do
Yeah,
that.
it's,
Was that the one that fell the cane, something like that guy?
No.
no, this came out,
I put that together
a
after our last
month ago, sent
conversation,
out.
so we can talk about hiring construction management services if you deem it necessary. Pre-referendum, what they can do is help put together a more detailed cost estimate than what we've put together, which is sort of just a square footage cost estimate based on projects that we've recently worked on. They can do some more accurate numbers because they're constantly working on projects and they can have contractors give some numbers. But at the same time, we're not going to give them much more information architecturally at this point. They're going to get the rendering, the site plan, and the floor plans, and then have to do their construction cost estimating based on that. It's good to have them on board so that you look like you've got a whole design team ready to work for you, and then have them ready to go once the referendum passes, so that they can do, some more cost estimating, do some, talk about logistics, and give their expertise in terms of construction processes.
Well, I don't know about everybody else. I did read through this. I didn't see anything that caused me to ask questions for more detail on it. It looks like a pretty standard document.
Customized to your project specifically, but
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
there's blanks, whatever, for we have to fill in at some point. So.
There's a person, I think, in Warwick who helps, is he helping with the Moffett Library as far as guiding the process? Or am I thinking-
Moffett is using UW Marks that are based in Albany.
Maybe I'm
Monroe is
thinking of a public relations type person.
Moffett is using Alan Berger,
Yes.
who I think is more close to the city. Monroe is working with Verticon, which I think is located somewhere in Middletown or Warwick. I forget, I'm sorry.
As a construction manager, Verticon
Verticon,
is a construction manager.
they're actually doing it all because Monroe had private money, not public money, so we didn't have to do public bidding and prevailing wage rates.
Okay. So, what is the discussion regarding this at this point? It's if we had any questions, we would ask Megan.
Yes. And then if you're okay with the document, what I'd like to do is send it out to some construction management firms that we've worked with before. We know that have good reputations and have similar project experience.
Okay.
Some of the ones I was thinking of were Calgy Construction. They're out of Mount Kisco, I believe. Meyer Construction, which is, I believe, Poughkeepsie. They worked on the Poughkeepsie Library. Gilbane, which does a lot of work and a lot of public projects. Hershoff was another one that actually contacted us that were interested in any upcoming projects. They've got some library experience as well. Those are the four that I think I talked to. I had just given them a cold call and said, we potentially have a project coming up. Is it something that you might be interested in, before we waste time sending them an RFP and then not hearing back, which is always frustrating. And then if there's any other local companies that you'd like us to send it to, even if it's just general contractors that you think might be interested or might be good PR to talk to them.
Or would all general contractors be construction managers?
No. No.
I don't know. It's at the mercy.
But as part of that request for proposals, what we want is them to give examples of
How many of those?
relative or relevant
How many?
project types that are similar. So
Sorry?
other
How
public
many are on the
libraries,
list?
municipal projects.
That she just,
Yeah, the one you have in your hand.
It's
well, what she just spelled it off as the
How
one
many-
she would send it to for,
We would hire different contractors for that,
Five?
correct?
No.
Or is that,
yeah.
That's
that-
later
well,
on, but
that
yes.
she would
Right,
suggest.
Yeah.
that.
Okay,
So that'll be
that's
part of the
not a
public
list.
bidding
The one
process.
that's top is not a
No,
list.
that's
think
just,
about now, this
No.
is just,
No.
who Moffett uses and
Oh.
Monroe uses, which, I don't know, your relationship, it sounds like there's none regarding who Moffett has chosen, E.W. Marks.
We've worked with them on a number of projects, and they actually have a pretty big workload right now.
Okay.
So we were sort of trying to spread things around, and there's a lot of other great firms that we've done work with. So we want to spread around so that there's an A team and a B team. We want everyone's A team as much as possible, rather than a B team or a C team. So.
Okay.
What's the turnaround? Looks like the only thing we have to decide is the turnaround time for this RFP. When they have to end and everything by
Yes.
4 p.m.
On whatever date. Well, it's really, setting up a schedule with you folks. We'll get all the proposals in. We'll send them to you guys to review, and then we can talk on conference call or via email who you'd like to interview. If there's 2 or 3 you'd like to interview, or more or less, we'd like to participate in the interview so we can ask some questions and understand how the dynamic would work, because they've all got different systems and structures, and then you guys can make your decision following the interviews.
And this is regardless of whether we choose to renovate this building or lease.
right, we would need those.
We
guys
would think that a
regardless.
construction manager for either project is warranted, as opposed to like a clerk of the works, which is more of just a blue collar eyes and ears on site. We're at the level of having someone, constantly update and manage your budget, watch the contracts and the contractors as they're on site and things like that.
And with the current schedule from, I think it was December,
Bless you. Oh, thank you.
we need to make a decision tonight.
To move forward sending out the RFPs.
Do we all feel confident that we've heard, we know enough about the plans, the benefits and the negatives for us to make a decision on which route to take? Yeah, okay,
Yeah, I am too.
alright. So, okay, well, we're gonna, that's, we don't have to do that with you here, or?
No, you
I
can-
mean,
you can
stay
kick me
all
out at
night
any
if you
moment.
wanted to.
I'm here for you, so you tell me what you need.
No, great presentation,
Okay.
great information.
So we'll
What-
finalize the report so that you've got it on hand, and we're available for whatever else you need as well in terms of questions and the next level of public meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
If we want to start brainstorming about what your public perception is, we're happy to help. We've always got lots of ideas.
And if the choice is made, Silesian, that architectural drawing you made would be more fleshed out with,
Absolutely, and what I'd like to do a second view, sort of from the
From the
parking
front.
lot, looking towards the back
Yeah.
of the building, because that we've got that sort of curved wall that I
Yeah.
imagine being a little bit more modern than the street facade. So yes, we'd like to sort of explore that a little bit more, and we can even do a rendering, maybe just a sketchy one that's sort of at that level that I just showed of this edition, and not finish it so much because
Mm-hmm.
we've sort of decided potentially that not the route you're looking at.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of course. Let me know if you need anything else.
I met with the junior friends of the library, and
Excellent.
about a week ago, we were talking about, among other things, possible new library. They got so excited. They
Great.
would like to participate in regard to the furniture and the layout and the colors.
We love to do that. If there's a
Oh,
teen
yeah.
advisory group
Right.
or a
Yeah.
friends
Yeah.
group like that, we
Yeah.
put together, we've done this in a few different libraries, put together some boards of different ideas, 5 different chair options and
Yeah.
2 different tables and different colors and fabrics. We don't say, you've got any choice. We're helping steer the direction. And also we, can say, here's one configuration of tables and chairs, and here's another one. And what do you guys think? What would you like? It's all going to be flexible furniture that can be moved and adjusted, but them taking ownership gets them really excited, and then they're telling their friends, and then they're hanging out every day after school, which is what you like.
Nice.
We talked about the Cornwall Library going down by, was it like 12 votes or something?
15.
15. And they said, oh, we're going to get those votes. We'll get the votes. We're going to talk to our parents, talk to our friends,
There's
get on the
our PR.
phone.
There you go.
Yeah.
Bunch of excited children.
So,
We're encouraging, I'm not sure if the Moffat Library is going to do it, but it's an idea for you guys as well, is have, when you're having the referendum vote, also have the kids have a vote about maybe what theme the children's library is. It doesn't have to be anything super specific. It could just be trains or under the sea or circus, but at least, kids are really excited about their potential space, so they're saying, Mom, I've got to come vote. Mom brings them to the library, and hopefully they're voting yes as well. Just appealing to everybody, making sure that everyone feels that they're
Yeah, right.
having a say in the new building.
Sure. I like it.
Cool. All right.
All right then.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you guys for your time.
All right.
Safe driving.
Well, it's not snowing, so
It's not
I'm
snow,
in
right?
business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's just
but
cold.
still, everything is freezing. So, I'm sorry.
I know it is
It's the reality,
really cold out there lately. Or yesterday.
isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I spent yesterday shipping ice. Felt like a kidding ice person hitting the ice. Like,
You're the
Can we
beginning of the
go to
Frozen
committee
movie.
reports and have Matt come
There's
back
a-
as
I mean, you've seen
director?
There's an
Yeah,
arrest
that was
warrant
good.
for
Yeah,
the
let's do that.
queen from, what's the name of the
I don't think
queen
there's
from,
really
the
much
name of
to
the
talk
queen
about,
in
but
Frozen?
just
Elsa?
a couple of minutes.
Yeah, right.
There's an
I mean, we
arrest,
couldn't
some
take that off.
some town in the Midwest
So-
put out an arrest for
Matt
Queen
It's
Elsa.
a funny haha for all the
video.
bad weather.
Yeah,
It's fair.
hope they catch her.
So,
Yeah, Phil.
You can keep it.
Small.
Keep her there.
I'm okay.
Ernie, you have anything regarding fiscal resources?
Bye, thank
Good
you.
night.
Safe home.
Good night.
We're going to committee
We're going,
reports.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
we're
going to
gonna
committee
skip to
reports, just
committee
buy some
reports.
time for Matt to
Mm-hmm. Matt goes to
lead her out.
be polite.
No.
No,
Okay.
nothing,
Okay.
nothing,
Physical resources had none.
Nothing.
they had
In
nothing.
town.
Just
before
kind
we
of
got
covered
with
it, I think.
NW.
Oh, okay.
Community
The library's
resources?
there, and then
We're gonna
That's
the newsletter.
baseball.
Oh,
field.
that's
They
the
just all
newsletter.
in one spot.
Anything anybody wants to see included in the newsletter.
Well, there may be
Wow.
something after tonight that you might want to feature.
Maybe a picture?
9 months from now, you're gonna have this.
The next, you're
I mean-
talking about the next newsletter going out?
Yeah, Matt sent out
What's
an
the
email.
deadline?
March 13th is the deadline.
Okay.
That, yeah, the feature of that one will be all about the vote.
Right.
So,
So,
About the budget vote,
yeah, and,
The budget,
trustee, who's up for
Trustee.
election, re-election.
yeah. Who's
Who
up
is that?
for elections this year?
I don't know.
tax levy.
Who is it? Who's up for?
I think I am.
You are,
I think
sir,
you
and
are.
so is
Uh-huh.
Nancy, and so is
I
Ryan.
saw
I am,
Ryan.
but I'm not running.
I am not
What?
either.
Oh, you're kidding.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Uh-oh,
no.
breaking my
Seats will
heart.
be open.
You what?
I said 2 seats look like they'll be open.
Oh.
Oh, Nancy.
Sorry, that was the bad news I was bringing tonight, I apologize.
Sorry to hear that.
Oh.
Jim, I'll have your paperwork ready.
Okay.
You're not going anywhere, Renee.
You're not going anywhere.
Jim, you're running again.
Man, Nancy.
Is there anything we can say or
We'll hear
do?
you out, but you're
Buy you a
wrong again.
cupcake? No.
I might be moving out of the district, so.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Oh.
Okay.
Is that your only reason? Oh, come on,
fun
that's
fight
not a
here.
reason.
She's had about enough of you, Randy, that's what it is.
That's a reason.
Mm.
Moving,
Dang,
not
I
a
didn't
reason.
expect that.
Well,
Might be moving, less
Human
a reason.
resources, is that yours?
Yeah, that's me,
Yeah,
but we haven't
okay.
done anything.
Yeah, okay.
We don't do a lot over there.
Sunshine Committee.
There you go,
No,
Jim.
you-
See, we need you, Jim. You have to stay.
What if we sent some sunshine in your
There we go.
direction
We
with
sent you
that?
flowers and
Make a
chocolate.
difference.
Woo you.
No report there.
And the friends, I guess. Is
Yeah, the Friends,
That's you
I
too,
guess
right?
Matt mentioned in his report how we are going to do the Goshen Trivia Contest in September. And we still have been difficulty finding a site that isn't too expensive in regard to, you know, the food, the drinks, the liquor license,
Oh, boy.
the room.
Mm.
In the past, we've kind of gotten by on members of Friends donating stuff. In Delancey's one year, I guess the first year, donated all the food.
Oh,
Huh.
yeah.
And of course, you can't ask them to do that every year.
No.
So, we're definitely gonna have to charge more. We've been charging, I think, $30 per ticket, and we know that's not gonna last. So, we're working on it.
Mm.
We did have about 40 people show up for that train talk.
Oh,
Which was
that's
good,
nice.
yeah. Nice
Wasn't
turnout.
available, was interested.
Yeah.
Mm.
Now, when is the trivia night? I'm sorry. Well,
It's gonna be
Oh,
September.
yes.
September 17th, I think, or something like that.
And what is it served food, or is it just hors d'oeuvres, or
Oh, usually it's a dinner, and,
is it, oh, it's a dinner?
we have wine and beer, and, a show.
Yeah, the Kenny Show.
The Kenny Show. The teams from, different groups in town compete about answering these questions about history of Goshen and so on, and
It's
a
a
lot of-
great time.
it's funny, it's a lot
It
of fun,
is.
a lot of laughing.
Yeah.
That would be good. That would be good timing too for
Yeah,
our November
that's right.
Yeah.
Puts
It'll
us
work out well
in
for
the
November.
media.
What kind of turnouts do you usually get?
We sold out 120 tickets last year, that's the room capacity, so, now there are other places we could go, like Delancey's is 85 is their capacity. So
Oh.
120 people, we
Right.
Yeah.
can't do it there.
Huh. See, we outgrew the firehouse, that's why we went to
And you went,
Johannesburg,
yeah,
but it worked out really well. I don't know
Good.
if that's a possibility.
no, I'm gonna relay that message,
Yeah.
thank you.
The Rotary has had their dinners at Burke in the past, many years ago, and the room is. I mean, they had it in the gymnasium. I don't know if
Oh,
there's
the gym?
there's no
The-
stage in their gym.
Yeah,
Yes.
there is. It's on both sides. Johannesburg, you have this stage that's on the gym side, and there's a wall that can be open
Yeah.
up, and on the other side is another stage to the cafeteria. So
And you were on the cafeteria side for your
Yeah.
group?
we were, and it was
Yeah, I
Like
think
I
maybe they
said.
were talking, when they checked that out, they were talking about going to the gym, I'm not really sure, 'cause I
gym.
wasn't
You
the
got a
one that
lot
did
of
it.
room,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Wow, huge.
but you also have the cafeteria adjacent to the cook's quarters, where they cook the food.
Mhm.
Right.
Adjacent to the cafeteria,
Mm.
which makes certain
And
things
who did the
easier.
food?
A friend.
So you had your own
A friend.
people did the food.
Yeah, and we brought alcohol, and we had our own people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, anyway.
Anyway, back to,
Anyway,
director's report.
yes. Director's report.
All right, was a blur of snow closings and delays, really. It's amazing. And of course, the gas leak.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't.
No, it's
I was and I wasn't around.
So Bernie, thank you
I
for.
knew you were in good hands.
Yes. And
What? You were around? Or?
I just,
yeah, he was here.
I was the
Yeah.
last person they called,
I
so
wa-
I,
I was
so I
at-
watched. I came by
I was
and
actually
watched
at the
them.
firehouse when the fire trucks came back, knowing that they were here, that they'd come back, so it's okay. And
Mhm. Yeah.
Whatever. And I was at the gym. I usually have the phone glued to me, but it wasn't for that period. And Michelle said she had heard and she was contacting back and forth, and the reference librarians were saying, if Matt would only pick up his phone. I'm on there like 24/7. It just happened not to, but so Bernie stepped in. I came the next day. I had a meeting at RCLS, but I came here instead to see what was going on. It was freezing in this building. I mean, it was Danny was like squirreled away in one office with a little electric heater, on the phone with the plumbers to get here as soon as they could. We were hoping that we'd be able to get the building warmed up but they didn't finish until almost noon, and I was here till 2, and it was still cold when I left finally. So, then yesterday I got a call actually that was it yesterday? What day is it? Sunday. Yeah, 12:45. I got a call. Library opens at 1. They say, Danny says there's no water in the building. Should we open? I'm not sure if we're allowed to open by state law. I'm driving. I'm like, I don't know either. Let me get home. So I rushed home and I called them at 1 o'clock. I said, open up for now and we'll close at 2 if we have no water.
Right.
But by the time I called, the water was restored. Then this morning I got a text at 6:45 from Carol saying that the Goshen Central School District was closed because of a water main break, and it was the library, so I had to. So it's just been like that. Feels like that's all we do anymore. Battle the weather.
It's a rough winter for it.
Yeah,
And a lot of
I mean, it could be worse. It's not
extreme
that bad.
temperatures.
Yeah, I mean,
Affecting
no
everybody,
leaks,
yeah.
no
No
You know,
issues with
No
the roof or
ice
any?
damming, none of that,
nothing. Yeah, right. I was thinking about that. No,
Yeah.
we've been good.
Yeah, we did good so far.
Let me see. I have to look at this to refresh my memory. Oh, we're working on the newsletter. We
Yeah.
corresponded. Okay. So I've asked Ken Cornerstone to submit something about their play that's coming up. Friends might have something. I'll talk to. I put a note out to Ann and to Laura and Yvonne. And if not, I'll whip something up. The bulk of the newsletters for the budget and the trustee elections, as you know, so that takes most of the space. And Norma has graciously offered to write something from the trustees again. Probably the same length or shorter than usual even, since the, let's see, it's the time for the annual state report, which, as you know, is, comes through NILA, and we submit it to the education department. It just tracks records of our circulation, book numbers, programs, etc. It's also that document that I have to supply the letter. After I fill this out and submit it, I get the what's it called again? The waiver, stay open another year.
Yeah.
Every year we do this. They'll be happy to hear that
That we're actually doing
things are
something.
moving along, yeah. Because it goes to RCLS first, their board reviews it, and then it goes to the state, as long as they are happy with the progress, which I'm sure they will be this year.
Exemption. Is that cool?
What is it called again?
Variance, is
A
it?
variance, thank you,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
Great.
I was at the RCLS.
Okay,
Oh,
so
I
this
had a
is-
little
Yeah.
advantage, right? A reminder there.
Let's see. Oh, Megan met with us. She already has incorporated some of the ideas that we talked about, so I was happy to see that. And of course, the department heads are ecstatic, about everything. I went to a 2-day workshop on Excel.
Was that fun?
Oh man. It was good, but Excel is the kind of thing you really just have to sit there and sort of muscle your way through it. It's just got so much. It was one of those presentations that you just realize how little you know about something, but it's not good in that way. I mean, it's just, God, I've been just using this for lists. I had no idea you could.
You can have
numbers. Jack attended the presentations for the annual state report. I gotta send my check-in still, but I'm scheduled to go up to Albany on Wednesday. You still gonna go?
Mhm.
Bernie? Okay. That's for Library Advocacy Day.
Okay.
I'm not sure if Jim mentioned this, but the Friends had an O&W Middletown branch then and now a talk on trains and railroadery. Is that a word? I made that up. Railroadery. It sounds like something that would have come out of, what was that character on The Simpsons, the old guy? He was always using those old-fashioned, not Smithers. Railroadery. Mr. Burns. But how many people came, would you say? I
About
heard
40, 45.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good turnout.
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good time.
One thing that we need to do though, we need to talk to David, where the laptop sits, is plugged into that.
Yeah.
The speaker, in order to see the laptop,
Okay.
is behind the
The
pillar.
pillar. I've seen that when.
And it works
Yeah.
for most of the people in the front, but for the people over on the side, he's behind the pillar
Okay.
talking.
Well, it's interesting because I was talking with, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, who was a liaison this time for that, program,
I'd say, wasn't Ray Katrina?
Troy, Mr. Troy, I can't
Oh,
think of
Bill
his first
Troy.
name, Bill. And he was working with us to get it set up over there, and then he put a call in, and they actually did it this time, they have their own setup, so I don't know, maybe, maybe we could ask them if we can set up next time, because maybe that's just the way they do it, but they had their own equipment and their own person set up. The time I was over there with, Ed Connor, we did the setup, but it was still like that, I think, we still had them too close to the, it's kind of an awkward set, it's,
Yeah, there might have to be some,
but
look
we'll look
at
at
that
it,
again,
yeah. Let's see. Oh, you mentioned Goshen Trivia Nights be pushed back. I think that's about it. I'm sure there was more, but it was mostly. Any questions?
Just, I'm curious, I'm sorry, adult services, whose report is this?
That's Eleanor.
She mentioned about adding new videos or new DVDs to the catalog, time-consuming process. And I'd hope to avoid it, but patrons want to put holds on films that are still in theaters and will not be available for sale.
Okay.
So is that a policy that we could amend to reduce the chances of this happening? I mean, is it she's having to deal with something that she shouldn't have to?
No, it's
People putting on holds on holdings that we don't actually have yet.
it's usually not a problem. What happens is occasionally they do that so once you put the item in as coming soon,
Yeah.
people are able to start to actually put holds on it, so that you don't have to do it with paper at the desk or just say no, we can't do that now. Then they get miffed because they feel like they should be able to put a hold on it. Because the only problem comes up is for, I guess, occasionally. Let's see, what's her? I think I know there's a particular patron that sometimes is troublesome about this, and it probably has something to do with that. I'll have to ask her to clarify. I'm not sure. We've always done that. That's the way we do it. It makes it easier to manage, and people are wanting to put holds on it, as when they hear about it. They don't want to come in and say, oh, it's not in the system yet, come back in 3 weeks. And then they come back and there's 3 people already who've done it.
Yeah.
And they said, I was here 3 weeks ago, and so it's easier just to put it in coming soon and let them put their hold on as they come in. It's not a major thing. It comes up occasionally, but it's one of those things, lesser of two evils. It's just easier.
We don't want to have any grumpy patrons right
Yeah.
now.
So what happens though? Somebody comes in and like Boyhood is out now in theaters.
Right.
So with the expectation is we're gonna get Boyhood on DVD at
Right,
some point.
right.
So they'll go and they'll look in the RCLS system and it's not yet in the system for
Right.
whatever reason. So then somebody in the system has to take it upon themselves to add it.
We add it.
We add it.
The member libraries, right. Add it before it's here.
But does it also become available for the rest of RCLS at that point?
Depends on
Or-
what the item is, but not if it's our catalog entry, that would be for Goshen patrons only. They would get, that's for our copy of it.
Okay.
So I have to ask her exactly what happened here. I'm not sure I even understand. I vaguely remember her telling me about something, and
I mean, imagining it's something that she puts in, but that eventually it becomes a record for the whole of RCLS.
yes.
So maybe it involves looking at the ISBN or
Right.
whatever.
It's well, not to get into this whole thing, but it's the thing is, it used to be that RCLS did all this, and then with their budget cuts, they got pushed out to member libraries. Well, I shouldn't say pushed out. They still do it, but we do it as well to keep
There are
speed
going to be
things up.
instances when we do it in advance of somebody at RCLS,
Right.
or in
So-
advance of somebody at New City for that matter. So
It can be. It's a little. It's not a perfect system. There can be errors creep in when it's not just one person doing it, but one person, wasn't fast enough to keep up with the bulk. So we started doing it as well.
but it almost wouldn't matter because if 20 libraries are going to get Boyhood and we're going
Right.
to have our own copy, then our patrons get it in advance of it leaving here anyway.
Right.
So I don't know that it matters that we wait 1 or 2 weeks. Our patrons are still going to be at the head of our list.
Right. You know, I'll talk to her. I'm not sure if it's just to make sure I understand before I try to solve it.
Yeah, right.
The numbers for the adult programs,
Yes.
5 for the film. The Yarn Gang has a max of 8. The gaming 3. We're talking about a new library, and you get numbers like this. I think this is a problem.
I don't know. It's on most of them.
I don't think the numbers have been strong,
No.
and
Well, let
I'm
me.
just wondering about whether we have enough activities and offerings for that, because I'm constantly reading the paper of things that the libraries are doing. It seems like
Right.
there's a lot happening.
I think they have a fairly good number of stuff. I just think that what happens is, oftentimes this is taken up by children's, stuff just because they're down here. It's not a territorial thing. It's just a matter of
Space.
space,
It
really.
is,
I
yeah.
think that if they had a separate space and a separate,
Mm-hmm.
I would guarantee the numbers will rise. I'd like to I should say almost finished. The due date's the 3rd for the annual report. Let's look at those numbers for the whole year. I'll get a better sense, when they're collated and I hear I do see that there are. Eleanor has a certain fan club, for certain things, and she has, for instance, the films. And most of those people come from the senior center. They've said that I have friends that want to come, but she can't navigate the stairs. It's so some of that is
Right.
that is the age group that's coming to some of these things. But I will talk to them about it. Once I see the numbers for the year and have some data to work with, for sure.
Okay. Let's move on. The building plan adoption is under new business. Does anybody want to discuss?
I think we discussed it pretty well.
I'll make a motion
Yeah, I'm with you.
that we build a new library at the Salesian property.
And I will second that motion.
Is that do we need special verbiage, Carol?
I'll work something out.
Okay.
They've said enough.
Norma has made
She'll make it elegant.
Gee, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't mean that in a harsh way.
She wasn't telling me to shut up.
I meant they made their intention known.
Our wishes known.
Yes, their
For
wishes
the-
known.
for the-
So
for the
I
motion.
can work with that.
That
Okay.
needs to be voted on.
Norma has made the motion.
I
I
second
believe, yes.
Ellen.
Ellen Mary second. All in
Discussion.
Yes.
Wow.
Any discussion?
I would usually call for discussion.
After a motion.
after the motion.
No,
Yes.
before you vote, there's a
Before you
discussion.
vote.
Right,
In
well, that's
between.
why there's a
After
motion,
the motion.
between the motion and the vote, there should be a discussion.
Okay.
Before you call
But
for
we
the vote, we
discussed-
should discuss it.
Okay.
Especially $9 million.
Certainly, no, I
8.9,
thought we
8.9,
discussed before.
8.9, 8.9.
8.9.
No.
Maybe to be lower.
I think
Yeah, right.
it's good to detail the reason why, and number one, after seeing the numbers tonight, all that separates modifying this building and building a new library with more square footage, and I think it's a beautiful
And
architectural
65
drawing.
parking
It's
places.
$2.3 million
$2.3
difference
million.
that provides, I forget the number,
21,000 square
70,
feet,
I'm talking parking,
65 parking
65.
spots,
and
62, 65, something like that.
to have to
64 parking
close
spaces.
close
64,
this
yeah,
area,
ballpark.
close this building and find another place
Move the
and move
inconvenience
and
for
the
your-
cost and 3 floors.
And the end result is not going to be as nice as what we could get for another $10 million.
And that's
without the
that's just
inconvenience.
doing subtraction of the two, and
Sure.
we're going to be selling this for I would think a pretty penny at some point, and boy, it just makes so much sense, and I love that architectural drawing. I
It's
really
lovely.
do.
It's really quite lovely.
It's
It's really nice.
it's going to be a draw to the downtown area.
Absolutely.
So that's just me. I think we're all either in like or in love with what we've seen.
Sure,
So
sure.
and it'll do wonderful things for our community, and really the library may turn it into something far greater than what was possible here. So.
Well, what I was going to say is that we basically have three alternatives. One is to stay where we are and do nothing.
Yeah.
Run.
The second one is to enlarge, expand here, and the third is to go out there. And the idea of staying here and not having parking, not having a green area, doesn't make sense when you compare all the benefits that are out there, which is sort of what you were saying just a second ago. So I don't really think we have three alternatives, but of the three alternatives, one is so much better than the other two.
Sure.
And so I think that's the direction we need to go in.
So, if no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? So be it.
So let it be written.
Historic moment.
Yeah, it is a historic moment. Yes.
Alright.
Congratulations, Matt. You're getting in office.
Yeah, very nice.
I see Carol is accommodating.
You're gonna have to
Gets
buy
a
your
new
own furniture, but
architectural
okay.
out
You have
there,
to
so I
stand
see
for
you have an
yours.
area.
Folding
Yes.
chairs, it'll be fine.
Do we want to include, does anyone, should I include that as part of the newsletter, or just let this be
Let this
the
be about the
budget and new trustees election?
I think that's good
I-
advice, yes.
Yeah, I think
I don't
we
know. I think you'll
still
have to.
wanna do
I can't imagine having a newsletter come out. When is it going to come out? For the end of March?
Yes.
And
And we
doing
voted
this
on it,
vote.
haven't mentioned it.
How can you leave it out of a newsletter?
Does it come out after the vote?
No,
No,
it
this
comes
is
out
right
right
before.
5 days
Yeah.
before the vote.
It has to, because it's for the vote,
Yeah,
it's to
yeah.
inform
So
the voters.
I think you
when
have
they vote.
to have a special box and announce.
I
Should be
agree.
excited about it.
Yeah.
Let's come out swinging. I mean, what do we have to hide? We just voted on it. Let's,
No, but
I
my
don't
point
think-
wasn't that we shouldn't mention it, but that it shouldn't be,
our
the
center
spotlight should
Oh,
be
no,
the
I-
budget, the
Yeah.
spotlight
I
should
agree,
be the
but
trustees.
it definitely needs to be
but-
mentioned.
Right, a mention, and maybe, I don't know. I'm always tempted to put pictures and things, but I don't know if that's a good
No, I
idea.
would say like something more information to follow.
Right.
Look
Right,
for
something
the
like that.
exciting
Keep an eye out
news
for-
and
put it
That's
on
a
the
good
palette.
idea.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, mention
you know-
if you're still collecting email addresses.
Mm-hmm.
right,
Um,
and we are
mention-
going to
mention
have
of-
more public.
there'll be more
meetings.
public, yeah.
No, but I mean,
public
mention the vote that we
presentations.
took tonight,
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
that we
Right.
have at our
We have decided
February
that
23rd
it's-
meeting, we voted,
Right,
and
Yeah.
based on the information that we have received,
right.
it's more
It's a better use of the money
advantageous
and
to
tax
build
money, whatever, however you want.
a new library at the
Right.
Salesian property.
It's the
please.
best use of the money compared to the other options we've seen.
Right,
And holds a greater benefit
right,
to our community.
Immediate and long term.
right. This
You'll
building's
yeah,
outgrown
sure.
its usefulness, and we've outgrown the building. Outlived its usefulness, I'm sorry.
Now, the newsletter that follows is usually about the summer program.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. So we can,
Maybe we should have a special edition of the newsletter.
how many thousands of dollars?
It's like $1,500.
What's the total check on that?
Yeah, about 1,500
Yeah, I
roughly,
think-
yeah.
I think it's worth $1,500 because it's huge. It's like the biggest thing that's happened in
Mhm.
regard to the
Yeah.
library
Right.
since the
With a
last
picture.
attempt to get a new library.
That will include a picture.
But what will
So-
the I'm sorry, but what will the summer one include, other than the what's coming summer programs?
That's
Right.
it's mostly the summer.
It's
reading.
a
mostly
calendar,
summer
no?
reading. It's a calendar.
It's a
right,
calendar.
and
Okay, so
summer
that's
reading
one
programs.
little one
it's a big-
side
No,
of
it's
it.
all
descriptions of
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
a
the ages,
detailed
it's a
thing.
big thing.
Yeah.
And there's pictures that state runs this, so we have pictures that they give us. That,
Right,
so
right.
there's a whole.
Do we avoid the free
PR.
media of the Chronicle and the Indie, and do we go
No, I
there?
think we,
or-
I think we
Well,
should.
We need that too.
Yeah.
But I just think, the newsletter gets to every household, and this is huge. I think if the letter that we have going out is going out at the end of March, and when does the next one go out? The end of May
By
or
before the
something?
school year
Yeah,
ends,
it's
right?
right
Yeah, it's-
before July, right?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
end of
It's
June.
in June,
Yeah.
June,
or maybe in between.
And do we wanna talk to
Megan.
PR
Yes,
person before we do that? Because that
Yeah.
would be something
Yeah.
that could
Because we
start
don't
to
wanna
shape-
do this wrong.
Right.
Right.
Come out the gate,
Mm.
and too
Right.
much information, incorrect information,
Right, I think we need to
premature
get that
information.
PR
Okay.
help.
Right,
Report
and we
time.
have to have public meetings planned before we say anything, because
Okay.
that's gonna be the question. So when do we get to talk
Yeah,
about
that
this?
could be part of the,
Yeah, and that
newsletter.
if we're going to do some kind of special thing, if that's even the wise move, and,
Okay.
Do we need to have a special work session maybe in March to talk about hiring a PR person, or, you know, seeing if Megan and Paul have somebody that they can recommend, if we have anybody from town that we can recommend? Do we need to start putting work sessions together,
Well,
you
Our
know?
our next meeting is March 9th.
yeah, right.
It's pretty
It's around
soon.
the corner.
yeah.
Yes.
so maybe we
Yeah.
can
So-
Yeah.
do it at
On
March
our
9th,
agenda.
try to make that decision
2
March
weeks.
9th if possible.
And
Sooner the better.
Wisner could maybe
Yeah.
provide some.
Right, I ask around and see
Yeah.
who used who.
Yeah, I think
And
that
if one name keeps coming up,
it
like
is,
the way we
right,
found
that's
Paul,
what, right,
you know, then that would be the way to go.
okay.
And we're not using the person we
Nope,
used
I
last
know.
time.
Right.
Okay.
Never
Check.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. So,
So we're skirting the,
We what?
we're tabling that discussion until the 9th, or
Right, 'cause
your,
we don't have to make a decision about it right now.
what to do with the
about,
newsletter?
no, but it's
special
an
newsletter.
interesting idea, and I think getting a professional's opinion is a smart move before we, you know, I mean, we're excited about it, we're all really excited about it, not everybody's gonna be excited about it. There's ways of saying things, ways of putting information out, and if we do it wrong, we'll shoot ourselves in the foot. But
Right.
somebody who does this for a living will know how to do it. And maybe they'll go, oh my god, this is the best idea ever, or you people are nuts, I don't know what they would
They,
say.
they might go, what's on your website? Oh, we haven't built that
Oh,
yet.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
why,
right, right.
why haven't you?
Right, well, I mean, we have a
That's-
website. If
that's
we
a
have
leading-
website,
No, I'm
Twitter,
saying, you know, why
Yeah,
don't,
we
why,
have Twitter.
why don't you
Right.
post it on your website first, cause
Right.
you'll actually get a sense of,
Well,
the
right,
traffic
we should have a
already, yeah.
tab, I don't know if we do, I haven't been to the website, sorry. But we should have a tab on the website about the new building project or something, and
Start
then,
fleshing it out there.
yeah, we'll just
Right.
keep updating that page, so that anybody who's
Soon.
interested can just go
Yeah.
to
At
that
this
page
point.
and see everything, you know? 'Cause that's a nice, always there, available thing that doesn't cost us anything, because we already have it. It's WordPress, it's easy to put it
Yeah.
in. Isn't that great? It's great.
okay.
Okay, dear, what's next?
The auditor selection.
Okay. Meeting.
Yeah, well, we had
Almost.
3 bids come in and ran them by our treasurer, Robert Schultz. And I suggest we go with Lorelei, the person that we used to use. She does a lot of libraries in the area, and she also happens to be cheaper than the other 2.
Wow, I like that.
And we liked her when we had her.
Right.
We just thought it would be smart at some point to try someone, just put
Well,
somebody
we
else in there.
moved just to keep the, not to create the appearance of impropriety, we changed
Right.
up every couple of years.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and that's reasonable.
So we're cycling around.
We cycle around back to her, there's
Right.
nothing wrong.
So
Wasn't there a problem with, I don't know who it was, the auditor, we had an auditor, there was a problem.
yeah, that,
Yes, they were
Where
terrible.
things were
and
late and
they were late
inaccurate
and,
and.
right.
That's
That's not the
misleading,
person.
and
This
this
is
is,
not-
no, this is, that's the
No.
person that we thought would be, we switched away from Lorelei.
Right.
And that didn't go well.
So I wasn't sure whether this was even an action
I
item, but I
remember
thought it couldn't hurt.
I never remember
I know.
names. It's terrible with names.
Do we need to vote?
Well,
Do we have to
Do a
vote or do
motion.
we, how much is
Might
it?
as
Cause
well.
it's, don't you have, do we have to decide this or is this,
You know, it's
Within
one of
your
those gray areas
discretion.
because of the
The
amount of
amount.
money. It's between 7,000 and 8,000. So I just thought maybe it'd be something that
Didn't
was.
we give you
Yeah,
But I think.
huh?
What's it?
Can't
Just
hurt
shows
to-
confidence
Yeah.
in Matt's suggestion.
Alright. So you want us to approve your vote, your decision, that kind of a thing? Is that what we're doing?
and that's all that's necessary,
Pretty much.
no motion.
No, I think if we're gonna approve, we have to do a vote, that's
Yeah,
how
we
we,
make
that's
it
how we speak.
officially, right,
We speak,
okay.
when we speak is when we
I
vote.
guess I sort of wrote this down quickly. If you want to use.
There you go.
And then sign right here.
What's that?
And then sign right
Yeah,
here.
yeah, it's
And
gonna
right
be
there.
on
And initial this.
Oh, okay.
And are we putting dates, the when we want it by,
It's
report back?
for the audit.
Mhm.
Well, we say for fiscal year.
June 30th, 15th, the year about to end in a few months, and they'll probably come in late July or August or so.
And we usually have it by the beginning of the school year, October.
Probably by the fall, I would
For
say.
Yeah.
Maybe towards around Halloween, I would say.
Yeah, right.
Somewhere around there.
No,
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 don't
that's
do
okay.
don't do that.
Yeah,
Just
Right.
Yeah.
by
Right.
name, and that's it.
right.
Okay. Can I have a motion that the trustees of the Goshen Public Library and Historical Society resolve to contract the auditing services of Lorelei A. Pitt for that purpose? Nancy made the motion, so your hand first. Ellen Mary seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Nancy made the motion. Put out that.
And the vote was?
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
All in favor?
There's no other new business, correct?
Correct.
Any agenda items for next month's meeting?
Just
Just
PR.
to
Right.
discuss PR
What about
person.
project manager? Are we, what did we leave that off? I can't remember. What did we say?
Did we okay
she's
to
gonna-
send those out? Is that what-
Well,
I'm gonna talk to her
she's
tomorrow.
gonna flesh it out more with the specifics, but,
Okay. Do we have to wait till the next meeting to deal with that, or is that something that we kind
no,
of
she
agree
said
on?
she's sending it out to, she gave a list of 4. that
And
she
then
would
Did
write
we
down.
actually say that to her, or she said, I will get back, Matt will let me know what you decide?
The latter,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so we want
So-
her to send it out to the folks that she
Yeah.
delineated.
I don't know who else could provide input to come up with other firms other than what
Well,
she's recommended.
Right, well,
Or-
Matthew was also going to ask libraries about their PR people. You could just also ask about construction managers.
Okay.
I mean, Monroe, because it was private money, was really kind of off the table. Whatever advice they give us, we probably wouldn't be able to use, but
Right. Wisdom?
Yep.
Wisner and
Yeah.
Washingtonville?
Wisner, Washingtonville, you can even ask, Warwick what they did.
Yep.
Well,
No, they used what's her face.
wasn't it Moffett
no,
used
they-
EW Works?
I'm pretty sure I talked to them, I forget.
Yeah,
But
I
if-
know, but I mean, if her people and then a few of our own would be nice, because then it doesn't look like,
If there's good reviews, we'll add them to the
right,
list.
and if a bunch of people all went, oh, you gotta get so-and-so.
Or don't get,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
know,
stay
that's.
clear of.
Okay.
I don't know how we deal
Whatever
with
you
that,
do,
but,
don't use.
so,
Okay, I'll get that.
yeah.
Right, so then you just let
but
us
it-
know at the next meeting, I guess, or by email or something, how you,
Well, she said they would send it out to the contractors. She can continue sending out to any we come up with
Right,
also.
oh, okay. So it's not a one-shot deal, it's
No, it's not.
Yeah.
Unless there's a
I would
A
say do a
deadline.
one-shot
deadline in
deal.
that.
I would
Huh?
say do a one-shot deal, that way they, you
They
know,
all have the
Yeah,
same amount
same
of
amount of
time.
same amount of time,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's, and then we wanna hear back by when? Do we need to set a date,
She might set a date
or is the
based
date
on
in
our
that,
timeline.
Yeah,
does anybody have a copy of the timeline?
not with,
I believe that, I think I've discussed this with you, that you don't necessarily have to meet as an entire board. You can have you can have a building
the
committee,
building, right,
and they'll,
so Bernie,
We're talking the interview process.
Right,
from
right.
the side.
I think they should come and make a presentation to the entire board. And that way if we have suggestions to the building committee to take into consideration
Okay.
when they're interviewing, questions that we would like asked.
Do we want
So-
Yeah, but-
4 different companies to come and,
yeah,
you wanna
right,
sit
it's a
through
bit
4
much.
presentations?
Yeah.
I don't.
For
But
this,
Bernie
for this.
So just me and you then?
does.
Well,
You are on the building committee, aren't you?
Well-
I was just thinking that, you don't, like.
there
For
were-
this, Jim,
If I
you
were on
always
the board,
do.
I
See,
would not
this is
wanna
why
sit
Ryan
through
wants
4 of
that.
these. As a subcommittee, I have to.
There you
Yes.
go.
there is
As a
also,
subcommittee, you could have tea and cookies at the same time.
part of this RFP is, how much they're gonna charge, that's part of it as well.
Oh, right, we have to take
might
that
see
into
something in
consideration.
that will
Someone's
cause us
fine.
not to go with somebody.
Sure.
Just one recommendation, I
Sure.
would contact the library that has gone through, because the Moffett may know who they want, but they haven't gone forward with
Right,
building
right.
anything yet.
Sure.
So you want somebody
Like
who's
Warwick
in the
done
thick of
seen
it,
Right.
who has experience
Okay.
with, you know,
Moffitt's
Yeah.
budget is next week, their vote is next week,
That's right.
next,
Yeah, but the
Tuesday.
construction
nobody
person
has
does
started.
the estimates, which I think is before the vote.
but they go supervise too,
But
I
they
imagine, right?
supervise the builds,
Right.
right,
So,
That's-
right.
are they,
Yeah,
are they,
that's a good
Somebody who
no,
went from
yeah.
beginning to end
Right,
with
somebody's
a,
Soup to
or
nuts.
in the
Right.
middle of
right,
it.
then we
not
would,
somebody who
right.
can just put out nice paperwork and say, hey, send me back
Right.
bids, that's the easy piece.
Yeah, yeah.
It's making sure they get it done on time, the
Right.
timeline. Make sure that they come under budget.
Mhm.
And that they handled whatever problems came up and did it well and enough.
Is this their second LLC? Did they change their name and go out of business the first time around?
Well,
Let's
that's
be a
what
little
exactly.
conscious here, you know, let's not be naive.
You can't find any history on this person beyond 5 years ago, that
Yeah,
kind of thing.
exactly.
Well, I would assume the ones that Paul and Megan are
Yeah, no, I'm
recommended.
sure
I
they
was
are.
just gonna say, yeah, and they're
Fall
the
in
same
that
ones.
category, but
So let me just make sure that I understood though, as what if, either way, I'll either find more names to add to that list or I'll find the same people cycled over
Mhm.
and over.
Sure.
But
Right.
what's my next step? Do you want me to talk
Tell
to
her
Megan and
to
say,
go
go ahead and,
Yeah.
so if I can either just on my own, just add, you know, these four you've asked and these two also,
Mhm.
and if I
Mhm.
don't find these two also, we'll just say the ones you have, go ahead and
Right.
put that out.
So
Okay.
like
Yeah.
what, by the end of the week, you
Yeah.
want that? By the end of this week you can do
Are
that?
you
Call her
sure?
Friday with a list of
Mhm.
people?
okay.
And
If
then
you have a
on-
list of people.
If you have,
Right.
I mean, you may not, you just go ahead with those.
Okay.
Just
then
another quick question too. We haven't probably reached out to school board yet, right?
No.
We have, they're having a huge capital project done this summer. They have a construction engineer. Would it be
Oh, that's a thought.
a nice,
Yeah.
you know, thought to say, hey, who did you guys use?
Yeah,
You
right,
know,
that's a friendly thing.
it might make things, you know, since they know the area and they know the
Mm-hmm.
zoning,
Sure,
could be a, you know, might be a, you know, might be a nice way to break
right,
the ground.
okay.
That's good intent.
Who's the guy with that? The financial guy?
Miller, Bob,
Bob Miller.
I won't call.
you're right.
When do we wanna
Yeah,
go to
history.
to talk to them about
You had it.
the bonding thing?
That's,
Um,
to be discussed with the lawyer and whatnot, they would know the timeline kind of thing, don't they?
Never
Well,
hurts to have a
no,
friendly
I thought-
conversation.
Yeah, I
Oh,
thought it
oh,
would
yeah.
just be good neighbors.
Yeah, I think it was
No,
a
I
good
thought
tip,
like a friendly heads up, you mean, not the
Yeah.
official, I got you.
And, you know, that we're gonna ask them to do the bonding, to
Mhm.
go through this,
Mhm.
yeah. I would
So-
think in March, no?
Their March meeting, I don't know what the date is.
Well,
Any other March, when do they meet?
Is it,
Well,
is it
they're
at the,
meeting tonight, so it's probably the third Monday.
but is it at their March meeting we would do this, or just,
No, I,
go over and
Why don't you
discuss?
just have
Well,
Matt,
when you-
have
You might wanna
Matt,
have that conversation
gonna
before you
say,
ask who
Matt
the
make an
construction manager
appointment?
is.
you're gonna call about a construction manager, he's gonna wanna know why.
That's why I think, I
Yeah.
think, I
So
think the
we're gonna
conversations
have
need to
let the
happen
big
in
cat
reverse.
be, cat out of the bag then.
Yeah.
Well, the bag is- the
the
cat is
is
out.
of the bag.
No, I get it,
It's in
but they're
cyberspace.
at their meeting, that's not gonna be watching it.
well, but, I mean, do we want to, as you as the president and, you know, our representative and Matt to go over and, you know, make an appointment first and go and have a conversation? A
I
friendly
couldn't-
conversation.
I couldn't do it during the day. I
No.
couldn't
Okay.
do, it would have to be at night. I am on probation, in a sense, with it.
Mhm.
I have
New job.
a new job. Yeah.
Oh,
So, I'm at in Poughkeepsie at HealthQuest, but I have another, I think, 60
Who's
days to
available
go.
during the day?
Yeah.
I could go if you'd
I
like.
could run down
Oh,
on my prep.
Sure,
Certainly.
certainly.
I mean, you know, you and Jim.
Bernie, I
I
don't
could,
know.
I could probably make time, yeah.
No, no.
Yeah. Either.
It's just a
Both.
friendly thing.
Yeah, that's, you bet.
the building committee and
We're both.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And with the mayor, maybe we could.
so, okay,
Okay. So for the next meeting, we want names of PR people and a report of how very well this all went between today and then.
Okay.
Anything else we need to do next meeting?
Well, if you have a meeting with the folks
we'll
next
see.
door, then you can report on that.
Right.
Yeah,
yeah,
okay,
okay.
I guess that's it.
Is it, is there any need to go into executive session?
No. And there's no one here for privilege of.
Right. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting at 9:21?
I'll do that.
Ellen Mary's made that motion. Who will second that motion? Bernie is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed?
That's fine.